Our next speaker is a scientist, biomedical engineer, medical innovator, doctor in training, entrepreneur, and is also part of the Singularity University Canada Medicine faculty. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Philip Edgcumbe.
Hello, Edmonton. I'm so fired up to be here. All right. I'd like you to meet Jennifer. She's a 57-year-old woman who has a lovely smile, loves the outdoors, and is the kind of person that starts conversations with strangers. Now, I first met Jennifer a few months ago when she came to the clinic at which I was working. And when we started our visit, she shared with me that she's happily living with her husband and their 2 cats, and they're finally empty nesters. And as the visit progressed, and we started to talk about her medical history, she shared with me that a few weeks prior, she had gone to the emergency room to get her sore back checked out. And it was at that emergency room visit that she learned that she has stage 4 breast cancer. And it turned out that the sore back that she had was on account of breast cancer that had actually metastasized and moved and spread to her back. And when I talked to Jennifer and asked her about her feelings about her cancer and her late diagnosis, we actually cried together, because the reality is that even though we're going to do everything we can to help Jennifer, is that she likely only has months to a few years to live. Now, I share that story of Jennifer because I consider it a call to action to build a better healthcare system in which patients like Jennifer don't fall through the cracks. And the good news is that, as we heard from Dr. Vora, and as we'll hear from Dr. Kayat, is that exponential technology is leading to the digitization of our health. And with digitization of our health will come earlier diagnosis, so we'll be more likely to catch diseases like the cancer that Jennifer had, as well as better monitoring and management of chronic disease. And with digitization will also come disruption. And so as that disruption occurs, the doctor's challenge will be to adapt and stay relevant in an era of digitized and exponential health. And that challenge is also an opportunity in terms of what doctors can do with it to create a better healthcare system and a better future of healthcare. And so Ray Kurzweil talks about how technology iterates and evolves and builds on itself. Well, this is a talk about how the humans in medicine will evolve along beside it. Now, exponential technology will disrupt medicine. However, one constant throughout will be that humans crave being cared for by other humans. And so as we disrupt medicine, it's so important that we leave time and space for the kind of heartfelt conversations that Jennifer and I had. And so now let's take a deep dive and look at how some exponential technologies will change medicine and how doctors will adapt along with it. First, let's talk about the exponential growth of data. The chief medical officer at Verily, the subsidiary of Google in their life science division, has predicted that the amount of data associated with each patient is going to grow 1,600 times to 8 terabytes within the next 15 years. Now, right now, I'm working in internal medicine at the Vancouver General Hospital. And when we have a patient come in, all of their data is printed out and put in a chart beside their bed. And I have literally gone through that binder and plotted by hand blood work values in order to look for trends and diagnose a disease. Now, the reality is that once we have 8 terabytes of data, we're going to need something a lot better than pen and paper to analyze that data. In fact, to illustrate a point, if this forlorn-looking doctor was really, truly dealing with 8 terabytes of data, those 2 stacks of paper would be 15 kilometers high. So we're going to need something different. And if doctors are, one of the things that may be is artificial intelligence. And so it's important for us to think about how artificial intelligence is going to have an impact on doctors and healthcare. And to do that, we will do so with the help of Dr. A.J. Agarwal, a friend and mentor of mine. And in his book, The Predictions Machines, he talks about how the best way to understand the impact of a technology on society is to remove the hype and characterize its capabilities in very simple terms, as well as the price and cost performance. And from there, we can plug it into standard economic models. And so if we use that approach to look at computers, we can see that computers are simply glorified arithmetic machines. I mean, there was a time when accounting students were given homework, and it's hard to believe, but it was homework where they'd actually add up the numbers in the phone book columns to practice their arithmetic. Now, computers have replaced accountants as the doers of arithmetic, but as that has occurred, the accountants have kept their jobs because they were best placed and best able to manage the numbers generated by the computers, and they can now spend their time on more complex and more productive tasks. Now, from Economics 101, we know that if coffee were to become free tomorrow, the consumption of coffee would go up. In all likelihood, the competing products like tea, their consumption would go down, but the associated and supporting products around coffee, like milk and sugar, their consumption would go up. And so we can apply those two examples to help us understand the impact of artificial intelligence. And we can treat artificial intelligence simply as a prediction machine. And so it's going to have impact on a lot of industries. Medical diagnosis is a kind of prediction. Predicting the risk of a loan default is a kind of prediction. Object classification in the context of computer vision, a kind of prediction. Even driving in a car involves making multiple predictions. And so in the context of healthcare, AI will become less expensive and more proficient at making predictions and diagnosing disease. And in certain types of disease, it will become more proficient than doctors, and that has been their traditional purview. But as the amount of prediction in healthcare goes up, so too will the associated and supporting services and products. So the value and the demand for people that can train the algorithms and for the data that will train the AI algorithms will go up, but so too will the judgment and the interpretation of those predictions, as well as action associated with those predictions. And that is where the future doctors will reside. Now, if we go back to Jennifer's case, the decision about whether or not to take chemotherapy is a decision which inherently requires human judgment. I mean, side effects, quality of life, end of life, and time with loved ones all hangs in the balance. And so the doctors that are successful at adapting will embrace AI, and with time will come to see AI as intelligence augmentation. In fact, Dr. Neil Jacobstein, the SU faculty chair for AI, has predicted that within 5 to 10 years, doctors will be sued for medical malpractice because they are not using AI. And so the exciting part of all of this is that as doctors go through this evolution and they adapt, they also have an opportunity to enhance their profession. And that brings us to the second challenge for doctors, which is to create a future of deep medicine and healthcare abundance. And we'll explore each of deep medicine and healthcare abundance in turn. Deep medicine reaffirms the importance of humans caring for humans. And it's a term which was defined by Dr. Topol in his recently published book, Deep Medicine, in which he argues that deep medicine includes a deep understanding of the patient's health data. This includes integrated medical records, digital diagnostics, and AI pattern recognition, as well as a deep personal relationship between the doctor and the patient. Now, we're certainly not there yet. I mean, for example, for every 1 hour that a doctor spends with a patient in certain specialties, they spend 2 hours documenting and doing paperwork. I mean, it's 2 hours for 1 hour with the patient. It's crazy. Now, AI will help with some of that. There are companies that are using AI and natural language processing to develop products that listen to the doctor and the patient during their visit and records and documents pertinent aspects of their discussion. And AI is also being used to detect patterns in the digital data exhaust that we all create as we go through our lives and interact with the digital world. And in fact, in some instances, that digital data exhaust can tell us more about someone's health than a doctor could potentially determine in a visit and a physical exam. So those are just two examples of how this doctor-AI hybrid could potentially work together to create a future of deep medicine. So in addition to creating deep medicine, another challenge for doctors is to help us move from an era of healthcare scarcity to healthcare abundance. Now in Canada, we are stuck with healthcare scarcity. Access to healthcare is heavily rationed. I mean, if you have any doubts about that, try getting a family doctor, try going to a dermatologist, 6 to 9 months, try going to the emergency room, or try getting on a wait list for a knee surgery or a hip surgery, a knee replacement or a hip replacement. And so we need to do better, and so we need to be shooting for healthcare abundance, which is quality, timely, efficient, and effective access to care for all Canadians. And we're going to get there using the best of disruptive innovation, exponential technology, 10x thinking, as well as the Canadian physicians that are working on the front lines, that are tired of the status quo, ready to innovate, and ready to try something different. Now, in my case, I set my eyes on Alzheimer's disease. It's the most common kind of dementia, and I was passionate to work on it because I had seen the impact and the pain that Alzheimer's patients and their families had to wrestle with when someone was diagnosed and had the disease. Furthermore, we are all at risk of having dementia. If we're fortunate enough to live to the age of 85, there's a 1 in 3 chance that we would have Alzheimer's and a 1 in 2 chance that we would have dementia. And so right now, there's no effective treatment for the disease, and the last 400 drug trials have failed. So the pharma, patent-protected, small molecule research approach doesn't seem to be working. And so that's why I thought it was important to reframe the question and propose the Alzheimer's X Prize, which is a global crowdsourcing competition that will challenge the full 7,000 people in the world who are coming online thanks to the exponential spread of the internet to contribute to helping to end Alzheimer's. Now, Peter Diamandis is the founder of the X Prize organization, and they are the global leader in running crowdsourcing competitions to address grand challenges like Alzheimer's. And I'm very proud to say that the team that I led was able to have X Prize commit, that X Prize committed to lead to, sorry, I'm proud to say that X Prize committed to making the Alzheimer's X Prize their next crowdsourcing competition, and that my team was successful in raising $25 million in support of that initiative. Thank you. And so we're going to challenge teams to detect and characterize Alzheimer's disease using the latest of personalized medicine and precision medicine, and we're going to challenge them to propose novel treatment strategies to treat Alzheimer's disease. In our success, we will be part of moving us towards an era of healthcare abundance. And there's a second example of a physician innovator. We've heard of Dr. Coley quite a few times already at the summit. In short, he's a Canadian physician as well as a Canadian SU faculty member, and he led the Cloud DX team, which won the Epic Bold Innovator Award at the Qualcomm Tricorder X Prize. But what they've set out to do, and what they've done, is they've created Vitality, which is a wearable with intensive care unit monitoring capabilities, as well as working on AI to make sense of all of the patterns that the Vitality, all of the patterns in the data that the Vitality will generate. Now, I think this is incredibly impactful. There are many times in working in the hospital where we've actually kept patients in hospital simply to monitor their vital signs and see how they do. So the Vitality could potentially allow patients to go home earlier, free up beds, extend the impact that doctors are having into the community, and again, help us move towards healthcare abundance. So in summary, the doctor's challenge is to adapt and stay relevant in an era of digitized health and exponential technology. That challenge is also an opportunity to create a future with deep medicine and healthcare abundance. And doctors will succeed if they embrace AI while also keeping sacrosanct that time to develop a deep personal relationship on a human-to-human level with their patients. Now, the good news is there's already lots of doctors that get it. I'd like to tip my hat to the Canadian Medical Association that are sponsors of the summit, as well as the 10 medical students and doctors that are here as part of the Canadian Medical Association delegation. So we all need to help in healthcare. So my challenge to you, especially if you aren't in healthcare, is embrace your naivete. Bring your skills from other industries into healthcare, help us move into the 21st century, and help us create a Canadian healthcare system that provides timely, efficient, and effective care to all Canadians, and importantly, also help us make those stories like Jennifer's a thing of the past. Thank you very much.